Ah, did you have a good time on the trip?
I did.
Wasn't that fun?
It was tiresome, but
Oh, I know.
I had a good time.
I know, yeah. It was a 24-hour adventure, wasn't it?
Boy, I knew it was going to be, but I wanted to go so bad, and I had a lung infection to start with.
I see.
And I worked hard to get that cleared up.
Yeah, so you could go.
I did.
Yeah.
But I really had a good time.
Right. Yeah, I think everybody did. It was.
Man, how in the world did you put it on? I don't understand.
Oh, I didn't do anything.
I
I just went along, you know. But,
I don't understand how that lady did that.
Those people, you know, well, they just did their 5th one this past week, you know.
Yeah, I
they
knew that.
They did their this past Saturday. So now they're done. Thank you very much.
You.
Appreciate it. So now they're done. So, but yeah, it was a great. Had you ever been there before?
No.
To the World War II Memorial? Or,
Never been.
I had been there about a year and a half ago, and that's when I saw it for the first time.
Well, I was kind of disappointed in one way because I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
And you think World War II Memorial is going to be something else, you know. But
Yeah.
it was nice.
It was. Boy, it was a hot day though, wasn't it?
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
man, I tell you what, it was hot. Well, tell me about yourself. Where'd you grow up?
Well, I grew up at 9 miles south of Henderson, where I was born.
Uh-huh.
But I was a construction worker, and before I went in the Army, I just worked defense work.
Uh-huh.
And I was married. I worked at Port Nature's, worked at the Loomis Company. Hello.
Well, hello.
And I was the operator.
Yeah.
And I got laid off one day and got my call the next day.
Is that right? So you didn't have much time to rest, huh?
Well, we didn't work hard. We made, I think I was making $1 and a dime an hour.
Yeah.
And I was married. I had 2 kids.
What year was this when we called up?
Oh, let's see. 42. 42, about 44, somewhere around 43, in between 42 and 40.
Uh-huh.
Because I went overseas in 1942, January the 1st.
Yeah.
And took my training at Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a death in the family. My baby had died.
Mm.
So I went home and had to go back and change the training group. Then from there overseas.
I see. Where did you? So you were in the Army?
Yes.
What did you train for?
I was a tank driver.
You were a tank driver?
Yeah. I drove the 1st tank for the 1st platoon of the 33rd Armored Regiment, lead tank.
Is that right?
And
What a great story.
I led all the way through except 10 days when I was wounded and went back to hospital.
Right.
And got the mortar shot put out of me.
So you were in Europe, right?
Oh yeah, I landed in Le Havre, France on the 1st day of January, 1944.
You went over by boat?
On the Queen Mary.
On the Queen Mary?
Yeah.
Was it a rough trip?
Well, we took the northern route because the submarine could operate in the cold water.
Uh-huh.
And it was pretty rough, but as big as the ship was, it wasn't just, like riding a horse with
Yeah, it
up
was.
and down.
It was a cruise liner, right?
Yeah.
It was a converted cruise liner.
Well, it was 2 of those, Queen Mary and the other one was sister ship.
Mm-hmm.
And they used both of them.
Right. So this was on New Year's Day, or you went into the Army on New Year's Day?
No, I went in the Army. I trained 18 weeks.
Uh-huh.
I was supposed to have, I think, 12, 14 weeks. But on the count of going home on the death,
Right.
I had to go back and pick up another
Right.
training battalion and take up where I left off and finish up.
Right. So what happened on January 1st, 1942? Was that when you went
That's when I went overseas. Yeah.
Okay. That's when you moved out. Where did you leave from? Where did the boat leave from?
Boston Harbor.
Boston Harbor.
I went, well, they first was going to send us to North Africa. So they thought they were going to send us.
Yeah.
So we took some desert training and then crossed from the desert all the way up to New Jersey to the ice and snow.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there we went and worked our way on up.
So how long did it take to get over there?
7 days.
7 days. And you landed in France?
No, yes, on the 7th day.
Yeah.
Landed in Boston Harbor, in England,
Okay.
into where they had the deep harbor for the big ship.
Right.
There wasn't every harbor could accommodate those two big ships.
Right.
The depth of it. So we got on the train and went down south in England and across on the LSTs on to La Havre, France.
Okay.
And we got there on the 7th day, and on the 8th day I was in my tank heading out.
So tell me about your service there. What you were with what group?
3rd Armored Division.
3rd Armored Division.
Yeah, that's what they call spearhead.
And you were
Tank
the
driver.
3rd Armored Division spearhead.
Yes.
And you were a tank driver. And what was your mission? What was your
Well, the mission was to go through and cut the lines, German lines, and just disrupt them, and then the rear echelon come on and clean up.
right?
That was the program.
Right.
And they told us that when we got started moving, it's just like moving in a wave of water. You get the water ahead of you.
Uh-huh.
If you ever stopped and come back, then you had to catch up again. So don't stop when you get started going. Just go right on.
Right.
So that's what our mission was, to go through and cut the lines and get the Germans bunched up together here and there.
Right.
And then the rear echelon come along and clean up.
Yeah. So did you meet a lot of resistance early?
Well, it was pockets.
Yeah.
To start with, see, I didn't make D-Day. They had already made the breakthrough when I got there.
Right.
And so I just took up right there, and after the Germans were moving on, got behind them.
I see.
And we went into Aachen, I believe it was steel town in Germany, after across the secret line.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a piece of steel about that thick just on the front of that tank, because the Germans liked to hit that white star.
Mm-hmm.
But they made hits.
Yeah.
And so I said, how about putting this piece of steel on the front of my tank? And they did.
Uh-huh.
My tank run like a mad wasp.
Yeah.
But I had several scars on it.
Right.
But all they got from that was the dust, man. They would slide us back about 3 foot and we'd take off again.
Yeah. How many people were in your tank?
5.
There were 5 of them.
Yes. We
So-
had 17 tanks
Mm-hmm.
in 3 platoons. We had the 15 tanks with 3 platoons, and then we had the artillery and the Air Force observer was there.
Right.
And so really we had the firepower from 17 tanks.
Right.
And we moved right along pretty good after we got the breakthrough.
Yeah. So what was it like? I mean, what do you recall? You say you were? Tell me about your wound and how that
Well,
came about and
we had the trouble with our radio the first time. We had to stop and of course we were green troops, and when we started out pushing, but we worked back before we get that building over there a little further ahead, and they couldn't contact us because the radio was out, so we just pulled over. We got green troops and new and scared.
yeah.
We pulled over on the side of the road and said, we can't go any further without radio. So they said, well, we're going to check the radio, and if it's not out, we're going to report march every one of you. So they took the tank back, sure enough, the radio was out. So we took off then and went on, and we come up to the Cologne Plains. This is after our general got killed over there.
Mm-hmm. Who was he?
Well, I can't tell you, he was a Jew, the only Jew in the army, highest ranking Jew in the army.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't think of him. I never met him.
That's okay.
And but anyway, everybody else that read history can remember him. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, we had a hill there. We went down and crossed the railroad track under the said somebody's got to go up on the hill to look out, and observe. Well, I didn't have a radio, so the tank commander kicked me by left, right, and then between the shoulders, kicked me to move the way he wanted to go. So he bumped me in between the shoulder, and I jumped the track with the tank and up on top of the hill. There was a haystack all around there, and so we were looking for resistance. Anyway, we stood there for a few minutes, and the assistant driver got out and was throwing hay on the tank, and the mortar fire come in.
Mm-hmm.
He got his arm shot off, and he was just out there. I don't know, I guess just crazy. That's what you are when you get hit like that. So I jumped out and grabbed him and jumped in the foxhole. The border force kept coming on. I said, well, man, if I don't get out of here, the border's going to come in and get both of us.
Right.
So I jumped out of the foxhole to run, and when my feet slipped, I landed with my butt on a bunch of hay and got 129 pieces of shrapnel in my butt and my back.
Yeah.
So, but that didn't stop me from running. I took off.
Still with him, carrying him, or
No, I left him up there because he was a big guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got down under the trestle on the underpass where the rest of the guys were, and they never did send another tank up there that I know of, because they sent me back and sent him to England, and then back home.
Yeah.
I never did hear from him anymore.
Right.
But I went back to the 112th in Viviers, Belgium.
How long were you in the hospital?
All 9-10 days.
Yeah.
You got the shrapnel out of me.
Yeah.
And I went AWOL and went back because I couldn't stand the people back there.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, the people back there was support and was sending up ammunition, guns, and gas and food and all this stuff. And that's where they operated from, was that area in Belgium. And me and the lieutenant couldn't get along. So
Yeah.
I said, well, he said, if you fool with me, I'll send you to the infantry. I said, I'm not going to the infantry. But we were trained armored infantry.
Uh-huh.
And we trained on trucks and everything else for qualifications.
Right.
But I done got used to that protection of that tank, and I liked it.
Right.
So I went AWOL and went back up to the front. Got my tank and drove the first tank across the Rhine River on a pontoon bridge.
I see.
Went on up, and I stayed there till we got to the Earth River where we.
So tell me again, you drove the first tank over the Rhine.
And only one that made the 110-mile march.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had a diesel tank, because I was a diesel operator, they gave me a diesel tank, which was a lead tank.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to do the extra duties for it at night, because the tanks with the radial engines burnt the 90-octane fuel, and that exhaust flash would come out of it about that wide and about that deep, hit the ground just like a brush pile on floor, and the Germans could pick them off.
Yeah.
I didn't have that, so they
Right.
said, well, you go do it, you know, and which was the normal thing to do.
Yeah.
And so I would get the night duty and the night outpost. So when we went back for rest and maintenance, the infantry, 104th Infantry, jumped off and got ahead of us because it was chasing the Germans. And when we wound up, we was 110 miles behind them, and we had to catch up to support them.
Mm-hmm.
So we drove early that morning and all day, and late that afternoon. The strategy of the Germans was to cut the third tank, capture the front two, and that would, they'd take them somewhere and hide them, and if they could fool the other troops, they'd come in and say, well, there's our tanks, and so they'd, get shot up. But we learned how to handle that, but the first two tanks, when they get that way, we just turn our guns this way.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the 50 caliber mount on turret, so this time they didn't catch us with our bridges down.
Yeah.
So they had to have the support for the infantry in this little town.
Right.
I don't know what the town was because we moved through so fast.
Yeah.
So they said, well, take the first tank, there's no exhaust flash, and go into town, and they'll know we're there. So I was the only one. I followed the sergeant in. We walked on the road with a luminous button on his belt, and we went into the town. Mm-hmm. And when we got in there, you could hear them moving out on the other side, the teams and the tanks and everything on the other side. And I backed up into the barn and didn't know where I was at or what I was there for. I couldn't run another 100 yards with the fuel I had. Mm-hmm. We had 3 rounds of ammunition and 2 boxes of machine gun ammunition. So we were just out there like a sitting duck.
Yeah.
But we knew the infantry was there, so that was one thing that protected us, because that was our job, was to support the infantry.
Right.
And the infantry took care of us.
Right.
And the howitzers, 105 howitzers, would come behind us.
Right.
And every time we get bogged down, the howitzers would open up, the cannon would open up and give us relief, and we'd move out again.
Right.
As long as we could get them moving, it's just like I said about a wave of water. You could keep them moving, not give them time to concentrate and back up on it. So it was a good strategy.
Yeah.
But, well, I don't know. You can't imagine how it felt. I can't tell you how it felt because take a guy that, like you, me, when you're young and coming from where we come from and going into the Army and facing all that stuff, you know, you were just kind of out in, if you hadn't had the training, you couldn't make it.
Right.
Because that's one thing that you remember when you're in there is what they train you for and how to do.
Right.
Because that's the only thing you rely on.
And you just trusted.
You trusted it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you could because I'd never been in the war, in the battle.
Right.
And I didn't know how to act unless they hadn't trained me.
How old were you at this point?
Well, I was about 22 or 23 years old.
Uh-huh.
And I was married with 2 kids, like I said.
Right.
So I was about 22, 23 years old.
Right.
And,
So when did this, where are we date-wise now? When you crossed the Rhine, that was in
Cologne.
42?
well, it was past 42. I don't remember dates or nothing like
Yeah.
that. But so I got there and landed on the 7th day in 42.
Uh-huh.
And then we had went on to a little town up in Germany, and we had one half the town, the Germans had the other half. That's when Roma come in and cut the dam on the lake, and we were down in the valley, so they pushed us back into the bog.
Mm-hmm.
And we went back in the bog, and when we fought that out, we moved back up to the end of the line.
I see. So were you, now when was this in relation to the Bulge, to the Battle of the Bulge? Were you in the Battle of the Bulge?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So this would have been in December, I mean, that was fought during the winter.
Yes, all bad, yes. Ooh.
Because every time I talk to somebody who was in the Bulge, they talk about the weather.
Oh, yeah. We had 7 foot of snow up there and snow piles.
Yeah.
And you couldn't touch your tank without a glove on. You did your hand to stick to it.
Right.
And it was cold.
Right.
So there's a guy here that was from Holland.
Mm-hmm.
And he was over there in the Bulge. And we talk all the time about it because he was somewhere, I don't know, I think in the forest.
Right.
And the English come in and got them out, but this was after was pretty well over with.
Yeah.
And
But the Bulge was a pretty bloody battle.
it was, absolutely, because you couldn't, it wasn't like summertime. You know, you're with all these clothes on and everything else, you know, and you hadn't had any sleep and nothing like that. It was sluggish, but you would come alive when you could hear them German tanks coming.
Right.
And them German tanks, where they had us outfired, the firepower was they fired a flat trajectory, just like you fired a deer rifle.
Mm-hmm.
But we fired an oval trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to cover up the stars on the front of the tank because that's where they were hitting them. Would go through the transmission and then the oil bath and scald everybody in there.
I see.
So we would always either mud up the stars, or like me, I had mine covered with a piece of steel, which saved me.
Yeah.
Because I had scars on it you could lay your arm in.
Right.
Where they'd hit me and being in the front. And they had also had what they call a screaming Mimi. Now this was funny. It wasn't funny at the time, but we had to stop and think about it. We was pushing and come up on the hill, and the E Company was on the left. We come up to that wall where the crossroads was, and they had knocked out a tank, one of our tanks in forward, and one of those tanks that had the 90 octane, it stayed on forward, one of our boys burned up. They held us up there for a while, and here come the wagon with the big horses running through there, scared to death. Mm-hmm. And we stopped them and put them into enclosure there at the German's house. beautiful horses. We no need them getting killed. We looked in the wagon, there was a big stogies about that long, about that big around. We passed them out, and everybody walking around with big stogies about. The screaming made me because it was just a big shell that would come through there whistling, woo, 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 woo. And it was tipping the top of them trees, and there was about 6 of us under that dived under the tank, and I think the tank moved up about that far. We come out with them stogies about that big, you know,
Yeah.
and everybody walking around with a cigar smashed about that big. Everybody was laughing at us. But that thing would kill you, you know, if you got close to it, but concussion.
Right.
But if it went on, you know, it wasn't anything to it, just a fear factor.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had run into them things several times. And it had a charge like a bazooka. The bazookas would have the powder train was crooked, twisted, and they would set them in around. Mm-hmm. And when you fire them, that's what made them go, was they firing in that circle.
Right.
And so that's where that big screaming Mimi was. It was made on that.
Yeah. Did your tank get hit much? I mean, did you get hit?
Well,
I mean,
I had a scratch on it from a bazooka from the foxhole beside it, and they didn't knock it out. But I had several of them on that piece of armor. And, you know, it was softer, and that's what bogged the bullet, the projectile down, that soft, then about that much airspace.
mm-hmm.
And so it did the job.
Right.
And,
So were you all taking German prisoners, or were the people behind you taking them, or what?
well,
were they?
we took some,
Yeah.
but it didn't take long to. We didn't have time to take them.
Yeah.
Most of the time it'd be somebody else assigned to receive them.
Right.
And we just make them throw their gun down, take the helmets off, and start marching. We send them down the road.
Yeah.
And I bogged down one time over there in the side of the hill where a P-47 had been shot down. They were laying up on the side of the hill in the barley field. And we was going up this draw, and there was a anti-aircraft going on top of the hill, but it was standing up. Excuse me.
It's okay.
And bogged down, and with that extra armor, I guess that helped you go down, but right in a soft spot. I mean, I went down and the water was running in. So I had to stay there that night till a T2, they called it, would come up and pull me out.
Yeah.
And that anti-air attack gun, they laid down on us, but they just got right between the notches. They didn't get us to go over and under and over and under.
Mm-hmm.
And every time that bullet shell hit the ground, with that ground had shaken, that water running in the tank.
Like that, it just kind of turns me off.
We drawed up pretty good.
Yeah. So when did your mission end? With the end of the war, or did
Yeah, at the end of the war.
when you found out that?
We carried our infantry up to the Alfred before we met the Russians.
Uh huh.
And we came back to the holding pattern.
Right.
And then we never did have any more battle after that.
Yeah.
And we come back to the, I don't remember where that rest camp was, but it was a huge log cabin enclosure.
Uh huh.
It was SS rest camp. And there was an old castle up on top. They called it
SS what?
Rest camp.
Rest camp. Okay.
And there's an old castle up on top. They called it Cathedral. And it had all this, Germans is bad about, you know, having old castles and all kind of statues, monuments and everything. I had a lot of pictures of that, but I lost them in the storm down in Texas City.
Mm-hmm.
And also my book that I had that they put out on the 3rd Army Division, it got destroyed.
Really?
So I hated that. I can't get another one. I've been trying to. But that was just, I don't know how many prints they had of that, but I didn't get another one.
Yeah. So, were you among those that were then assigned to go to Japan, or what
No.
did you do after the war was over?
Oh, I just helped set up military governments back down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And was it more fell in by Frankfurt on the Rhine and went down to Schwab's Hall and some other little old town. I don't remember, wasn't big enough to hold us. We just stayed there long. Then we wound up by going up to Bremerhaven and getting on there. There's my buddy right there. He was in the boat from the other side. Come here, Curly.
That Curly?
Yeah, come here, Curly.
How are you, sir?
I'm all right.
Tom Turbiville is my name. How are you?
Oh,
Good to see you.
Burkhardt.
Nice to see you. How are you?
He's come from Holland.
From Holland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a long, long time ago.
He lost all his hair in the board.
And then, did it freeze off?
No. Always wearing those helmets.
We have a lot of talks about that.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
I'll bet.
Yeah, he was pretty close to us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It really is. Yeah. How close you were together. Well, good. Well, good to meet you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet.
I'm not going to tell him anything on you.
That's a secret.
Yeah. So you were setting up military governments. You were.
Well, what we
Yes.
did was we come back and shake the town down for ammunition, guns and ammunition, and let them know that they was, under the American rule.
Right.
But we had a lot of good Germans back there.
Right.
They were not, the ones that was left behind they didn't agree with Hitler.
Right.
And we had a lot of home guards that when they first come and just give up. And the main people, the hard shell was the SS and Hitler's youth. And it's hard to kill a kid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they give us more trouble than anything else.
Right.
You didn't mind shooting a German soldier,
Right.
but those kids, they knew it, they'd come right in on you. So
Yeah.
we had to get some of them. After the war was over with, and we was at Moorfield. I met a German there that was retired from the Pennsylvania Railroad. He was out of tobacco and out of coffee and all this stuff. So down in the supply dump where they busted rations, I got him all this stuff, and he appreciated it a whole lot. But I had a lot of friends over there after it was over with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were scared of Hitler and scared of the SS and all this stuff.
Right. So when did you come home?
I come home I got discharged on the 12th of January, 45.
So you were, that's when you came home, or
Came home.
Yeah. So you were overseas for.
A year. That's all, just a year. 44 and 45.
Okay.
But I went about as far as anybody else did in that short length of time.
Yeah. Okay. So you went over there in January of 44.
44.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 42. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
44.
44.
No, I went in the Army.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I knew that was going to happen. This
Well.
table's kind of shaky. I didn't get you though there.
No.
Yeah. You went into the Army in.
March 43.
March 43. Okay. Okay, and you had your training and then your leave and then January of 44 is when you went overseas.
Yeah, first day of January,
So you
44.
were there a year. Okay. Yeah, 'cause I was thinking because the bulge was in the winter of 43, 44. That was
44. Yeah.
Right. That's when the bulge was. So you came home and you were discharged.
Discharged. Yeah.
Where'd you come back to?
Come back
Texas.
to Camp Fannin and Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
And we come back to, let's see, up there. Good Lord, I don't remember where it was. Somewhere close to Boston. They didn't ship us very far.
Yeah.
So we asked them when they were going to go ship out to go home. Well, this was on Saturday. They said, well, it'll be Monday. Well, let's go down to Philadelphia and look around down there till we'll be back Sunday night.
Yeah.
So while we were down there, they shipped them out.
Oh,
We
no.
come back, about a dozen of us come back and go to Texas. That's the only time that I could get talked back to an officer. But we give that colonel a fit.
Because they left without you.
Oh yeah, but we
Yeah.
boarded another train, wouldn't get off.
Oh,
It was
okay.
coming to Texas, so
Yeah.
they made room for us in the aisle.
I see.
And so I was discharged 2 days before the other troops got there.
I see. Oh, okay. Okay.
So
So you came back to Texas, and then what did you do? You were married,
oh yeah, I was married.
so you went.
I tried to go to work, but I couldn't find nothing to do.
Yeah.
So I joined the 5220 club. $20 for 52 weeks. That was all there was to do.
Yeah.
But I looked all over for a job. I mean, everywhere.
Right.
And I've told a lot of jokes about it. I said, well, I got a job of clearing bushes. They call it sprouts, on the farm. Nobody had any money, so I wouldn't work for nothing. I just took half the sprouts.
Yeah.
They said, well, I don't understand that. Well, it's hard to understand. What you do with the sprouts? Pile them in the corner.
Uh-huh. So where did you live when you came back home?
I lived back in Henderson.
Back in Henderson.
Where my wife was, yeah.
And that's where your wife was?
Yeah.
And you had 2 kids?
Well, no, one of them died.
One of them died, so you had one child?
With one girl.
Right. Well, then later on, did you find work? I mean, what was your career? What did you?
Well, I went to drive a truck. I drove a truck and
You were a truck driver?
And
Yeah.
I drove for East Texas Motor Freight. And I drove for a gas company up there hauling aviation fuel in different places and servicing oil rigs. And it took quite a while to get back on my feet, because there wasn't nothing to do. In
Right.
other words, we called it, that was under, well, what's the guy's name was? Oh, good Lord! He was the president at the time of the Potsdam. This was after Roosevelt died.
Truman.
Truman. And he was the kind of guy that he was a pretty smart guy, but he just, it was handed to him from Roosevelt so fast that I don't guess he knew how to really take over and bring us back.
Yeah.
Because it took a while to go back. I finally went down to Texas City and went to work for Ford Beck and Davis on repairing refineries.
Uh-huh.
And I worked in that area till the work run out. And then we moved to Chicago and Phoenix, Arizona, wherever the work was. And I just moved around from here to there till I retired. Wife had to have dialysis 3 days a week, so we moved to Madisonville where her people were. My first wife died with cancer, so I buried this one. We raised 11 children together.
Is that right?
And we've got 18 grandchildren, and we've got 33 great-grandchildren.
I see. When were you all married?
In 45.
In 45?
Yeah. No, we were married 45 years. No, this was, man, I don't remember.
About?
We've been married 45 years.
You've been married 45 years?
Yeah, we had 45 years this year.
So that would have been about in about 63?
Yeah, somewhere along there.
Somewhere around there?
Yeah.
Or 60, well, 45 years this year, that'd be 65.
Yeah.
You were married in 1965. And between the two of you had 11 children.
Yeah. No, yes.
Yeah.
11 children.
I'll be darned.
I had 6.
I see. So you had some children after you got back from war.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You had 5 more children.
Well, we planned on our family, me and the wife planned on raising 3 children.
Right.
But when we lost that one, it was such a disappointment, but we just took the lid off. We didn't
Right.
raise a family, so I had 6 children. And she had 5, and then when the boys married, well, their wives come to live with us. So
Yeah.
we moved to Chicago into Paul Harvey's house, in the Country Club building in Chicago.
Uh-huh.
And I worked there for a Loomis company for 2 years. We built a refinery there.
Now, what did you say? You moved to Chicago to Paul Harvey's house?
Yeah, we leased Paul Harvey's house.
Oh, really?
Yes, when he lived in Country Club Hill, and that's when he went to California.
Uh-huh.
And so we leased his house through a leasing company.
Oh, really? You mean the house that he lived in?
Yes. It was well, he owned it.
He owned it, yeah.
And
Yeah.
we left there. And
So he was your landlord, huh? Sort of.
Yeah. And we went from there to Minnesota, St. Paul. We built a refinery and a cat cracker in St. Paul Park.
Mm-hmm.
And then the work just shut off.
Mm-hmm.
So we come back and down to Madisonville. And I had a buddy that was in Phoenix, and he said, come up here and I got you a job. So I went to Phoenix and worked 2 years in Phoenix
Mm-hmm.
till the Watergate broke. And I was working for at the Mountain Bell cable mill. We was putting in cable splicing and this kind of thing for telephones and telegraphs and
Mm-hmm.
underground. Watergate broke with the, let's see, let me think of the guy's name, Mardian.
Mm-hmm.
He was mixed up with Nixon up there, and Mardian out of California bought in with his cousin.
Mm-hmm.
So when it all boiled down with, the government shut the money off on account of it. So we went out one morning, 8 o'clock, and they said, well, it's all over with. They pulled the money in, so we got to move. So we had to clean the job,
Yeah.
get out. So I come back to Texas, and went back to Texas City and worked there
Mm-hmm.
till I retired.
When was that?
When I was 62 years old, I retired.
Yeah. How old are you now?
I am 91.
91.
Yeah.
So you've been retired almost 30 years. Well, now what's your wife's name? What's your wife's name?
Patsy.
Patsy?
Yeah.
What was your first wife's name?
Edith.
Edith.
Yeah. Her surname was husband. So the joke was we was both looking for a husband.
Edith Husband was her
Yeah.
name? I see. You were both looking for
Yeah. And she had 3 brothers in the Army
Uh-huh.
in World War II, and I had 5 brothers that was in
I see.
Navy, Air Force, and
Oh, well, now that's interesting. You had 5, so there were 6 of you all,
yes,
and all of you were in the Army?
yeah. Not at the same time, but
Right.
anyway, we all served in World War II.
All served in World War II.
The boy that's now down in Houston, and the rest of them he was in North Africa.
How many of your brothers are still alive?
There's 2 of us.
Just 2 of you still alive?
3 of us still alive. So I got 2 brothers.
You got 2 brothers still alive?
Yeah.
No sisters, just brothers?
Never had any. I was the only girl in the family.
You really? Now, are you the youngest or
No, I'm
middle?
the second from the oldest.
Second from the oldest. I see.
He was in Air Force,
Yeah.
and I was in the Army, and the brother younger than me was in the Army. He was he drove a tank retriever in North Africa,
Mm-hmm.
and I drove the tank in Germany. And then I had a brother stationed in England in the Air Force. He was there 23 years in the Air Force,
Right.
and he took cancer and died.
Mm-hmm.
So then I had a brother younger than him was in the Navy, and I don't know, he was all over there and everywhere else. He was the 4th boy. No, he was the 5th boy. And then the youngest boy was in the Navy after him,
Yeah.
so he served in the South Pacific.
Right.
He was all he was in there at the end of World War II and stayed in there and was in South Pacific area.
I see.
So there was 6 of us served.
So are all those 11 kids still alive, or are they?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
one boy out here. He's worked for the electric company. I think I don't know exactly what electric company it is. He went into construction work, and he built light plants in Europe and
Yeah.
all over the United States, Colorado, and I don't know where all. So he wound up out here in Bryan,
Uh-huh.
working with the light company. He's the chief operator and supervising construction out there in the new plant.
So how long have y'all been here? Lived here?
We come here last March.
Last March?
Yeah,
From
Madisonville.
Madisonville. Okay. you have any idea how many grandkids you got?
I got 20. I got 18 grandchildren.
18.
But I got 31 greats.
31 great
Yeah,
grandkids.
would have had a big family with them if somebody told them what was causing it. So.
Somebody let them in on that. Oh, well, this is a great story. This is a great story. Now, you said you lost a lot of pictures and stuff in the storm in Texas City?
Yeah, I did.
Do you have any pictures at all?
None at all.
No pictures of you when you were in the military or anything like that?
Well, I had a big picture that I really wanted to take care of, and it got ruined in the storm and all that stuff.
When was that storm?
That was,
When you were in Texas City?
yeah,
Hurricane? Was that, what year was that?
48. I went there in the latter part of 47 after the
Okay.
Montana blew up. The ship
Okay.
blew up. And this happened in 48.
Yeah,
That pretty well wiped me out down there at that time.
right,
To get started over again.
right. Well, I can find some stuff on the internet as far as the tank. What kind of tank did you drive?
Sherman medium tank.
Sherman medium tank. What caliber?
Well, it was a welded hull. No, it was a molded hull.
Okay.
I forget the numbers of those tanks. They had, each one of them had an M number.
Uh-huh.
But I don't remember what the
Yeah.
number this one was.
Did you get a Purple Heart for your shrapnel?
Oh yeah. Finally got a little money out of it. What I'm living on.
Yeah. What other awards did you get? Did you get any stars or
No, I didn't.
uh,
Just Purple Heart's all I got.
Purple Heart? Well, that's okay.
You know,
That's good.
kind of proud I didn't get no more.
Yeah, you don't want to collect those.
No.
That's true.
I got them all up there, and what I did was I lost all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I got part of it from St. Louis and part of it from, I believe it was somewhere up in Pittsburgh. They sent me my medals back, replaced them.
Oh, good.
And
Good.
I got them in a big box up there that the guy made for me, cedar. Wouldn't put a glass over it, so I got them on.
Yeah, got them up in the box. That's good. That's good.
I got the African European and the 3 stars for the invasion of France, Belgium, and Germany.
Right.
Of course, I got the good conduct and all this good stuff. I didn't deserve that, but I got it anyway.
They gave it to you anyway.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's a great story. Well, I wish you had some pictures, but if you don't have any, that's okay.
Well, I lost all of them,
Yeah.
and I can't get them replaced.
No, certainly you can't. No, that's true. Well, we do this show on. We tape it on. I guess Mary told you we tape it on Thursday at 2:30. Now, do you drive?
No, I don't drive.
Okay, I guess somebody will probably bring you over.
Yeah, she said she'd bring the bus over.
Good, because they've done that before.
I'm trying to get Katie
Uh-huh.
over there, but she feels like that she don't deserve anything, any recognition.
Well, if she wants to come over and just sit and watch us
Well,
tape it,
that's what she said.
can do that.
I finally talked her into coming over. She said, "I'll go with you."
Yeah. No, she can come over and she can sit there and she can watch. We'll have a TV screen there for her to watch us tape it, and that'll be a good outing
And
for her.
like I told her, I said, it'd be good for posterity, for your family.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the line, somebody's gonna look back and say, "Well, there's Katie, my line."
Yeah.
So I tell her this to kind of encourage her, but she feels like that she don't deserve anything. She was just a nurse, and so.
Yeah.
But it's just like I tell her. I said, "Well, you had a good time on the trip up there,
Right.
and everybody knows you're there. They know what you did." I said, "Now what about getting on the film down there?"
Right.
And it'd be for posterity.
Right.
Somewhere down the line, some of your kinfolk
Yeah.
will look at that and say, "Well, there's Katie."
Yeah. Well, we'll get her on because she was a nurse in World War II.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
Did you see him on TV?
you're going to see him on TV, yes, ma'am.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. Here in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Hey, hey. It cost you $2 to get in to see it.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, it will. Hey, I'll be the star.
Oh, hey, you're.
He's going to be the producer.
I understand.
$2
I know
go
who he
see.
is.
Did you see the show this weekend that we
Yes,
did?
I did. I'm gonna see the
That's
rest
part
of it.
one. That's part one. Part two will be on next week. We're working on it this week.
I got bad eyes. I got detached retina
I see.
and macular.
I see. Well, yeah. Tell Katie to come on, and we'll put a chair there for her, and she can sit there, and I might ask her about being a nurse a little bit, and so where was she? What, did she go overseas?
I think so.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
And
How old is she?
I don't know. She's just a good friend. She's the one that gave me the papers for this Lone Star trip.
I see.
And that was the first time I knew anything about her. She came over and gave me that.
Was she your guardian?
No.
Okay, but she just went.
Her daughter was her guardian.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay. What's her last name? Do you know?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay, I'll get it. But it was Katie?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's a real nice woman. I mean, I pick at all these women around here. They get a kick out of it. So they all know me.
Yeah.
And they know me before they ever get here.
Yeah. Well, no, bring Katie along. We'll
All
put her
right,
there.
good,
We'll make her part of it also.
Okay, good.
That'll be good. And I'll visit with Mary about. Yeah, it'll be Thursday. I'll ask him to pick you up to where you can get there around 2:15.
Well, she said she would.
And we'll start taping about 2:30, and you'll be out of there by 3 o'clock.
She said, well,
Yeah.
we're going to take you over there.
Yeah.
So I said, well, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Well, good. Good. You got it done. All right.